So, Councillor, how are you doing?
Well, good morning, Sean. I'm doing well. How are you and your family doing?
We're doing okay. We're staying inside.
Yeah.
A little bit of learning, a little bit of TV, a lot of food.
Yep, you're
So,
practicing lots of COVID kindness
yeah,
right now.
we'll go for walks. It'll be nice when the weather is nice this weekend and we can actually walk around the neighborhood instead of just looking outside and it's too cold.
Well, I got to tell you, it is way too cold, and this is the one thing that people can do is get outside and work in their gardens, and a little too cold for that right now. Although people, I am seeing lots of people out there.
So, what are you hearing from a lot of the people that live in Flamborough and in Waterdown? What are they reaching out to you for? What are they talking about?
Oh my goodness. It's right across the board. I cannot believe how the amount of emails and phone calls have just ramped up like crazy. And just to let you know, staff Veronica and Christine, who many of you know out in the community, are both working at home. They do come into the office maybe once a week. I'm in here most days, mainly because my internet connectivity is not that great out in the rural areas where I live, and we're still holding our council meetings. We're still doing what we're doing. So it's getting very busy. Some of the issues that people are bringing to my attention have been certainly from the snowbirds trying to get back up from all different parts of the southern United States and even some from Mexico. We do have people who live down in the States during the winter, and then they come back up here for the spring. But the trailer parks aren't open yet, and it's only for permanent residents. So it has presented certainly an opportunity for MP David Sweet and MPP Donna Skelly and myself. We work together on a lot of issues, but this particular situation of COVID-19, all three of us are working together to help our residents. There's a myriad of different things that are happening out there. So it's, from coming back from down south to some of the farmers, the issues they're having, flooding that's been happening over the last couple of weeks, not COVID related, but, it's still an urgent issue. And so, as much as COVID-19, it's absolutely taken precedence and a priority. There are other things that are still going on that are still priorities. So we're dealing with quite a bit right now.
Are bylaw officers out there looking for people walking in groups, playing outside? Can you walk on the side? Where can you walk and what can you do?
So that that is an interesting question, and I know there has been some confusion out in the community about that, and I do apologize. Is bylaw out there actively looking for people? In some areas, yes, they are. I know that there has been a number of complaints. I've certainly got the emails coming in for Ward 15. Other wards are getting even more complaints. So yes, bylaw is complaint driven, and it has always been complaint driven because of COVID-19, and people are scared. Let's face it, people are concerned. They're scared about their well-being, about their children, their parents, and so they call in, and bylaw is there to go out, and if they see an infraction, they are going to issue the tickets.
So best right now, walk around your block. Can you go to, let's say, the high school, for example? Can you walk around the track there? Can you walk around at Memorial Park? Where can and can't you go?
So that, very good question. And in fact, Trustee Penny Deeth, again, we work closely together. I had a conversation with her 2 days ago because we did have some calls coming in from people saying, can I walk on the track? What can I do? And the answer is no. So school properties are off limits. They are completely shut down, not just the buildings, but also their properties and the grounds around them. City-owned properties, the facilities are closed. And so playgrounds and, splash pads, but not right now, it's a little cold. The skate park, for instance. We did have some issues in Waterdown with the skate park with, as soon as the weather got nice, people congregating there, and a lot of people. And so we did have to shut that down. But in terms of open spaces, yes, you can absolutely still Courtcliff Park, Joe Sam's Park, yeah, not the playgrounds, but you can access the walking trails there. There is no problem doing that.
What about building in the community right now? I know a couple of questions came up online, for example, like Dundas and Hamilton Street, that the reconstruction right there, as well as there's a couple of new condos going up in the city too. Are those, I know some of them are an essential worker. Is it business as usual or a little bit of a halt?
So essential and non-essential is what it comes down to. Provincial legislation has basically said to all municipalities that if a building is under construction, then you can continue to work on it if it's a residence. In terms of regular construction, no, that has all shut down. The corner of Dundas Street and Hamilton Street, I swear to God, is going to be the bane of my existence. I have been trying for years and years and years to get those corners cleared up. Both corners. One is the gas station, which, by the way, I did have someone say to me that the gas station is a hazard site. That is not true. The tanks were removed years ago. It has been totally cleaned up environmental wise. So it's just sitting there. The reason it hasn't been torn down is once you issue a demolition permit, they do have to start building within a year. And so if for some reason the plans don't go through or can't get site plan approval, then that might create an issue. Just going to take a quick drink. Hang on.
Sure, yes.
It's my chai tea, by the way. I love my chai tea. So to answer your question, I don't know why they have not started building where that gas station site is. My understanding is the site plan was moving along and had basically been approved. I know there was some concerns, some issues around the type of brick and stone that they were going to put on the building. I had asked them to, please consider the old Victorian village look and try and tie in with the buildings that are in the core of Waterdown. They were doing that. I have no idea, but I am extremely disappointed that corner has not been fixed up.
And then speaking of construction, the bypass, I haven't driven by it a lot, but is it still going on? Like, I know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Honestly, the bypass is under construction. And yes, it is deemed essential by city staff. We just had this discussion actually at council this week and last week. Right now for 2021, the section that is going to be east of Center Road that will go behind Alexander Place and come down to Parkside Drive and tie in over to Avonside. That is the key section. And right now it's 90% design complete. It will be going out for tender in November and it will be built and open in 2021. The other section, which is on the west side, is being built by the developer, and they were moving around dirt and doing some grading. That was supposed to be done and finished by September. It is deemed an essential component and an essential construction site. I'm really hoping to see that it gets done. I know that I talked to city staff last week, and they are meeting with the developer next week to try and find out just what's going on. I know there were some issues with the creek bed and a redesign had to be done, which meant that Conservation Halton had to issue a new permit. And none of these things are easy. It's a very complex project, but if you walk actually behind Alexander Place, down the pathway, you will see a lot of little flags in the ground. There's hundreds of them, and those are called locates. And so the surveyors have been busy surveying that section to go behind North Lawn Drive from Center Road. Lots of little flags in the ground, identifying, where the gas lines are, where the bell lines are, the hydro lines, etc. So it is being worked on.
And there are still, like, speaking of building, north of Parkside and Hamilton Street, or Center Road, I guess, up there is still construction going on of development, right?
So the legislation, as we understand it, is any subdivision that is currently under construction can continue construction. For the phase, as an example, over in Mountain View area, the phase 3 site over there, the building permits have not been issued. And so The bypass connection down Burke Street to Mountain View is basically done, but the homes along that stretch, there's been no permits issued for the building. So that is shut down right now.
Again, so is it too early to even start rethinking of what's going to reopen? Is there a task force for that? I know some other municipalities have begun the discussion of it.
Yeah, so it is way too early. In terms of the peak, I'm hearing from our public health and also from Public Health Ontario that the peak is probably going to be within the next week. Hamilton has done an excellent job of preparing for the whole COVID-19 pandemic, and initially formed an emergency organization committee of all our senior management team and the city manager. And that was set up back in February. And so we are well in hand in terms of having enough space and the emergencies that are going to potentially hit all the hospitals and when they're going to hit. As far as getting back to opening up businesses, it is way too soon to even start going down that road. And I think, you know, everybody has seen there's been an extension in terms of the school closures, in terms of even the city has extended their closures, and the province has extended their closures as well. So we have a survey actually that economic development with the city of Hamilton is in partnership with the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, the Flamborough Chamber of Commerce, and the Stony Creek Chamber of Commerce. And that survey is going out to all the small businesses to really get a picture of the challenges and the devastation that is hitting our businesses, because they are hurting badly. And if that is the one thing, I feel so bad for not only my residents in Ward 15, but you know, we all know people who have businesses or have been just pouring their heart and soul into developing their businesses and their livelihoods. And all of that's going to change. It's not that it could change, it is going to change. And we have to be there as a municipality, as a federal government, provincial government, and a municipal government to be able to help our residents get back to being able to provide for their families and integrate, continue developing our communities as we know them and love them.
So I guess, right, just get back to COVID. I guess if somebody's feeling ill in the area, do they call public health? Do they call their doctor? They call telehealth? What would you tell people to do? Obviously,
absolutely.
The government website is look at the self-assessment, and they'll kind of guide you, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's great information on all of the government websites, including the City of Hamilton Public Health. But definitely, if you're not feeling well, and I would not wait, and just, you know, self-isolation is critically important, but also monitoring how you feel. And especially if you don't have the expertise or don't have someone in your family, in healthcare, please do not wait too long. Call your doctor, call telehealth. Let our office know if you're not really sure where to go. And by the way, the emails and the telephone calls that we get, they're on every topic you could possibly think of, Sean, right across the board. And we're here to help. So it doesn't matter what time you call, give us a call. We can absolutely help, but please, do not wait too long if you're not feeling well to reach out to somebody for some help.
And I'm not sure if you know the answer to this question, but looking at Hamilton's public health website, you can see how many cases we have, how many recovered, how many deaths. I think there's a couple hundred active cases if you do all the pluses and minuses. Do you know the specifics for Waterdown and Flamborough in your area? Do you know, are they broken down by ward?
So we had our council meeting yesterday and actually asked that question of staff to come back and give us a breakdown of just exactly where are the numbers across the city. I don't know if public health actually has identified throughout each ward what the numbers are. I think they've done a good job of kind of just identifying where the hotspots are. But you raise a very good point, Sean, because it's been, to me, there is a whole section of data analysis missing, and that is on how many people have recovered. Mm-hmm. And so you can say there's X number of people out there who have, come down with COVID, and that's an important number. But I think more importantly is how many have actually recovered out of that number. It's a cumulative number that keeps growing and growing and growing in terms of how many have COVID, have been identified. And of course, you know, the corresponding number to that, unfortunately, is how many people have died. How many lives have we lost? How many loved ones in our families, you know, are no longer with us? And those are two important numbers. But I think the equally important number that is missing on a regular reported basis is how many people have recovered. And potentially, we've got to talk about the vaccines. And, you know, we had a conversation yesterday about what is this going to look like? How long are we going to have to be physically isolated from each other, keep our physical distances? You know, human beings, we're social people. Mm-hmm. And we love to talk and to be in connect with each other. I know for myself, Jeff and I, our two boys, we miss them terribly. One is in Vancouver, one is in Quebec City. We have Carolyn in Ottawa. And, you know, the fact that we talk to them every day or every other day is wonderful, but not being able to see them and you know, you really, that is a concern. And so I feel for people that don't have their families close by to be able to see people. But I think this is going to go on for quite some time. In terms of the vaccine, we have got to get that vaccine up and running. People all over the world, there's scientists who are working on developing that vaccine or different components of it, and they are all working together as well in the different countries. So once we get that vaccine, and again, it may be the people who have recovered that are going to really be the ones to provide the answers that are needed to be able to develop that vaccine. We're probably about, you know, a good, I would say 6 to 18 months away from that, even though everyone's working feverishly on it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know they've done some trials in a few different countries. And
right.
I'm watching to see how people are doing.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I do want to raise too is our fur babies. You know, it's wonderful for people to be at home and to have your pets. They provide just a great deal of comfort to us. But, you know, there are people who, once they can no longer afford to keep their pets or their home situations change, then, you know, their fur babies and animals end up at SPCA or at Hamilton Humane Society. So, you know, let's keep them in mind as well. Flamborough Animal Adoptions is doing an amazing job. They're continuing to you know, take in their kitties and look after them. Lots of volunteers in the area. They are always in need of cat litter, but, you know, definitely go online to all the different pet finders and animal adoptions. And if you can give, you can donate, please do.
Good stuff. Anything else you'd like to bring up?
Yes. So finally, I do want to remind people that we are having a food drive this Saturday for the Flamborough Food Bank, and that's up at Carlisle United Church. It is a contactless, touch-free type of food drive. Myself and the organizers, and I want to give a shout out to Shasta Bradley and a couple of her friends who they're doing an amazing job pulling the community together to raise food for those in our community that are really in need. And as people, you know, as people are losing their jobs and no longer have the income coming in on a regular basis, it is a great concern. We have the Waterdown Food Bank, and again, there's been food drives going on for them as well, so I want to give them a shout out. They do an amazing job. But any way that you can help, you know, go online on Facebook, there's posters up, and it's a wonderful time actually to see people coming together. As horrible as COVID-19 is, as awful as it is to see what's happening within our economy, and, you know, with people who can no longer afford to pay their rent, we've got mortgages, you've got your taxes, which we now have a deferral program. But I have really been so very proud to see how many people have come together to help each other and to really support each other. And, you know, there's different sides to Facebook. The side that I particularly like and feel so blessed to experience is when people are so supportive of each other and helping each other and just reaching out. So I encourage everyone to continue to do that.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time, Councillor.
Well, thank you, Sean. We haven't done this for a few months. I hope we do it on a more regular basis now.
I have a little bit of time.